Active FM. Radio has never been better.
What is up?
Hey.
This is the movie show.
On your... you know where this is. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm Sesh.
My name's Ryan.
And we are going to be doing a review of the film The Fabelmans.
Yay. Good film. Great film.
Although, can I tell you, so I was searching through like movies to watch and I stumbled upon The Fabelmans. I didn't know who directed it. I didn't know what it was. I just saw the poster and I was like, oh, okay. And then I don't know where, but I happened to see that Steven Spielberg had just, this was at the end of 2022, had just released a film. And I was like, oh, what film did he release? And when I checked, it was The Fabelmans. And I was like, oh, okay. So but now I hadn't watched the trailer. All I knew about this film was the poster and the fact that Steven Spielberg had directed it. There was nothing else to it. And as I was watching the film, I was like, wait a minute. Steven Spielberg said he was going to make a movie about how he came into the film industry. And then I was like, is this the movie? And I think I actually stopped it and went and searched, and it is. So I went into this not knowing that this film is actually like Steven Spielberg's how he came to film his debut. Yeah, he doesn't want to call it a biopic because like he doesn't want it to have that, I don't know how to word it, that like stigma attached to it. That's also why he didn't call it the Spielbergs. He called it the Fabelmans. Yeah.
And I think when you start, well, I know for myself, when I started watching it, I was like, oh, I can tell exactly who is Spielberg in the film. So I didn't know that it was his auto whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's basically Steven Spielberg's life from like a young kid till about what age? 16, 18.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that this film was, well, he basically had the idea for the film already back in 1999, but he didn't want to sort of upset his family in that. Now, quite interesting enough, the father, Arnold Mayer Spielberg, quite an interesting guy. He died 2020. He was 103 years old. Can you believe it?
He was 103, sure.
Yes, but he really was an electrical engineer, and he really had a contribution towards a type of computer back in the 1950s. So, everything you see there was quite genuine. His
mom was a pianist. I know she played in a restaurant. He said that they own... As far as I know, because I still went and read up after watching the film, everything that you see in the film did take place. The only difference is names. Except for the uncle. You know the uncle that comes to visit? They kept his name. And then what was it? John Ford, who he met, the famous director that he met right at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
His name wasn't changed, but otherwise everyone else's name was adjusted. But the story, the events, in fact, this was such a... I think Spielberg didn't... At first I saw an interview where he said the scariest part was, first of all, deciding to make it. Because I think his mom was interested in him making a movie about their family, but like he could never get himself to do it. Then I think after his parents died, his mom's also passed away. And then also, like he said, with the pandemic, he just had time on his hands. And he thought, what project can I make that I haven't made before that really means something to me? And this was it. This was the film that he hadn't made and he wanted to make. So he then called up, I think he has a guy that he writes scripts with. He called him up and they actually wrote the script over Zoom. And then it was a pandemic film, so they filmed during the pandemic. But I know a lot of people mentioned that while on set, because they literally recreated, think about it. Think about your life. And now as a film director, you are making a movie about things that you actually experienced. He said the living room was exactly like his living room. His bedroom was to the T like his bedroom because the production designer would look at photographs and obviously he filmed. Steven Spielberg, not a lot of people now we film all the time, but in those days...
He was very detailed within the script about camera, about what type of camera.
Yeah.
and what it did.
Yeah.
So
they had a whole lot of references to recreate his house, his wherever they went. So he literally said it was the weirdest thing walking into his bedroom, or the weirdest thing walking into his, like, because he was reliving these.
I think that must be cool.
It must be cool, but apparently there was a couple of times where he forgot to call cuts, which actually happened in the movie. You see the young, what was his name? Samuel. I think he renamed it Sammy. Yeah. He at one point was filming, and he forgot to call cuts because he was just so taken by the emotion of the scene, and that actually happened while filming this.
Yeah, that's right.
And there were often times where the actors said that he would actually break into tears because I mean he was reliving painful. There were funny moments. But I mean it's your life. Your life has ups and downs, so he was reliving the downs as much as he was reliving the ups, and
moments.
There was moments where he'd actually get quite teary, but I think it must have been an amazing experience. I personally think all directors should do this. I would like every single director to do this,
because I'm sure that they all have a story.
They do all have a story.
I mean, I bet you right now, if you're a director and you're watching this, you're like, yep, I remember, and we could sit down and have like 3 cups of coffees over how you got in and memories and kind of like if you ever I'm sure a lot of people have those things with their grandfather or like older people in their life where you sit down or you go visit them and then they tell you stories,
and they're interesting stories.
They tell you loads of stories, and every director has those, so you should.
This was a very good film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a good film, and it's a Steven Spielberg film. And Steven Spielberg just knows how to make movies.
I love Spielberg films.
He really, really does. He's really good.
Keeps you glued in.
Yeah.
It's just so well balanced.
And I mean,
just a
this
beautiful
is just
film.
It's actually a coming of age story, and it's the first coming of age story that Steven Spielberg's ever done. But it's just interesting, and there's no superheroes. There's no. It's old. You know, he grew up in a time where there was 8mm film, and you had to literally cut the film and glue it together. And
it's not like it ended like yay. It ends. You can feel like, and so the story continued. In other words,
I love the way it ended, though.
Yeah.
So this is like
that was so good.
The way, so major spoiler at the end of the film, Steven Spielberg meets, it was John Ford, right? I think the director,
I didn't know who he was, to be honest with you.
He's a very famous, his name's John Ford. So John Ford is actually a very famous film director, but not now. It was when like Spielberg was growing
Westerns.
up. And he got to meet him, I think just once. I don't know if he ever met him again, but
Probably
he got
not.
to meet him. And he even said the dialogue that took place between the two, the exchange that took place, is actually what was said.
Oh wow.
So like that's actually what John Ford said to Spielberg. But like John Ford, he had these big paintings in his office, and he was actually a painter before he became a director, and he asked Spielberg to look at the different paintings and to take notes of where the sun was or where the horizon was, and then he told him that the horizon was in a specific spot because that's what makes it looks interesting. And at the end of the film, Steven Spielberg's character Sammy walks out and is walking in the distance, and then they literally fix the shot, but it's like a proper, like, there's no editing, Did
that come into your mind? It came into my, I'm like, no man, why they I'm like, thank you, that's much better.
And they literally put the horizon exactly where John Ford told him the horizon so that was like, even
you know how I know that dialogue was true to word. Now I didn't know that was because it was the first time that you heard swearing in the film.
Oh yeah, true, actually, because John Ford was just like,
exactly, like the whole movie, it was pretty clean.
And they were a Jewish family, so they were more conservative.
Well, the mother said the S word a couple times, but like okay, maybe not a couple, but like once or twice when she was angry. But the F word, which was quite a strong word, like for the first time, like that came out, you know, and which I was just like, okay, that's quite odd. It's like the end of the film, and now all of the. So it makes a lot of sense now as to why,
And so the name change. So Spielberg obviously he is Jewish, but fable. So spiel and fable, those two words both actually mean story. So I thought it was quite clever how he just like sort of got a synonym in a way for like his surname, but that also like fit with the whole story, and that's why. Yeah, but I also thoroughly enjoyed the cast. The cast was very good.
Yeah.
I think every single person, and I know that Spielberg actually said when doing the auditions, he said that was the second hardest part because he was trying to find actors to play people that he knew so well. Like, you know their mannerisms, you know everything. And now you have to, I mean, I was thinking about it, like, to try and find your family in actors.
True.
That would be a very difficult task.
Very true.
Like, very difficult. I know, though, when he was writing the script, Michelle Williams, who plays the mom, he had in mind, because he had seen her in another performance and he knew that he wanted to.
She was in quite a couple of good films.
No, she
was in Dawson's Creek, people.
Yeah, she's
Like, she was a teenager then, like this high school, what? Yeah, she's a mom. But
and even the dad was the Riddler.
Dano, yeah.
He was in the Batman. He was the Riddler.
This guy's a good actor.
He's a good actor.
He's
yeah.
one of those like method actors. Well, I don't know if he is a method actor, but I see him as that because there's almost this like personality to him.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the uncle. Like, he was the only, obviously the only other person whose name wasn't changed. And
Benny.
Spielberg didn't actually give him like direction. He actually just he kind of let him run with that character, but he did say, because he asked Spielberg, like, what do you remember? And he did say to him he was a real life lion tamer, so at the circus, that was his actual occupation. And he said 10 times, most of the time, they didn't actually understand what he was saying. That was literally his description of his uncle.
Boris Schul.
But he did a very good job.
I loved that guy when he came in.
He was so grateful that he was in the film. He was honestly so grateful that he got to be a part of this this project. And then I also think that Gabriel, he was the one that acted as Spielberg. He did a very good job.
He was very good.
I actually think he did a very good job at portraying Spielberg. And I know that he changed his hair because he's got quite curly hair, so he straightened out his hair to obviously resemble Spielberg. And also he changed the way he stood and walked to match Spielberg, as well as retrained his muscles to mimic Spielberg's smile.
Really?
Which he did do. I picked that up.
Wow.
So he did a good job.
Gabriel.
And also, do you know that whenever he was filming with the 8mm, he was actually filming. They actually got him to film.
Yeah.
There were times that Spielberg took the 8mm himself and filmed, but they actually used what he filmed as well. So Spielberg, it was funny, in an interview I watched, he said Spielberg would say, go stand over there and get a shot, and he'd like go over there and he'd be like, oh my goodness, this is such an amazing shot. But like he every time Spielberg said go stand over there and get the shot, like he said the shot was so,
it was a good shot.
So good.
He's like, now he understands why, director.
And I love this. All of the films that you see Spielberg make, or should I say Sammy make in the film, Spielberg made those films. Those were all, even the train crash, the first, you know, when he recreated, because he needed to recreate the train crash. All of that Spielberg actually made. And however, Spielberg did say that he did improve on his original shot, so he did very similar angles, but he couldn't help himself but like improve the angles. And but I really enjoyed watching his like original films retold. Like, that was really cool. Even the school one where he made the guy that was bullying him, he made him the hero, the protagonist. He actually did do that. It's all true life accounts, which I thought, and the actors even said on set, when they were on set, they would say to Spielberg, did this actually happen? And they said 90% of the time, he said, that was an actual.
Those moments is what he encountered, and the conversation, word for word.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of those people, like, what they would have to say, like those actual people within his.
Yeah, like, I know his sisters.
Life.
He's got the 3 sisters. Obviously, his parents have passed away, and I'm sure his uncle has passed away. But then there's all the people that he went to school with. And, I mean, imagine being the bully of Steven Spielberg. Imagine you bullied Steven Spielberg
well, he made about to be
in
okay.
high school.
I mean, in the end, they were like, yeah, okay, cool. But not cool. But cool, but not cool.
Cool,
you know
but not cool,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he got. Well, I don't think in the movie he didn't get with her. The girl he dated in high school.
Yeah.
Like, imagine knowing you could have married Steven Spielberg.
Clearly.
And she was the one that dumped him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But then I actually love this. So, you know, Steven Spielberg's movies. What else can you like say his movies are very well known for?
I guess action adventure.
Mm-hmm. Da-dum.
Yeah, Jaws.
But what? His soundtracks.
Yeah, the soundtrack.
So think about E.T.
Yeah, true.
Think about Jaws. Think about Jurassic Park. All of them have such prominent sound. I mean, we all know. I mean, even if you haven't watched Jaws, you know the Jaws score. Now, Spielberg has had a very, very, very long time collaboration with the person that he actually writes scores with. I'll try and find his name now. But the guy that he writes scores with has now he's in his 90s. He's actually in his 90s. This was the last film that he was going to collaborate with him. So he won't do music again.
Okay.
For Steven Spielberg. But I was actually watching a video where they were interviewing him. He was sitting by his piano and he said, this was the actual piano that I played the Jaws tune to Spielberg on. And he showed and he said it's a very basic tune, but he thinks it can sound quite scary, and you can speed it up or slow it down, or you can play it soft or loud, and that will all like build up tension. And then they have footage, they have photos. It's so cool of him playing the E.T., the Jurassic Park one. And he said when he played, there was a song in the film called Mother and Son, and that obviously played, I don't know where it exactly played in the film, but it was obviously, I mean, they were very like, there were points in the film where there were like mother-son moments. And he actually said that Spielberg went completely quiet, and when he was done playing, he turned to look at Spielberg, and Spielberg was actually weeping. So I think Spielberg really loved the score that he put together. And unfortunately, it's the last time that they'll actually work together for film, because it's I think he's now resigning as a film composer.
Scorist.
Yeah. But I thought that was pretty cool that he's worked with someone for that. I mean, since Jaws. I think that's forever ago. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was
so
pretty
he's
cool.
kept the same guy.
The same guy.
Like all these years.
I don't know, because I checked in like Ready Player One.
Jurassic Park. Wow.
Yeah, like all of his major themes. So like definitely E.T. he did. Jurassic Park. I mean, Jurassic Park's theme is so famous. Like everyone knows Jurassic Park's theme. And the music, like Steven Spielberg's films, the music is just fits.
I like in the film how he cut to music as well. So he'd have the music playing on the vinyl.
Yes.
And how and I wasn't just put music over this. There would be exciting parts with exciting music, etc. So that was something very specific that I'd never seen before.
This film actually received 2 standing ovations. So it was released at the Toronto Film Festival, but it actually received 2 standing ovations. One was before the film, when Steven Spielberg took the stage to introduce it. So before people even saw the film, they already applauded. And then a longer preceding the post-film Q&A. And the crowd also was reported to have been loudly chanting Spielberg's name whilst outside waiting to get into the theater during the red carpet arrivals.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So people were excited for the film. And I thought, this is so cool. This film coincidentally released the same year as the 70th anniversary of Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth, which was the first movie Spielberg ever saw in theater. That was the one with the train
cool.
crash.
Yeah.
And that was released in 1952, which was Steven Spielberg's first film as a child. And it actually it's actually shown in the film. They show you him watch the film and the effect that this train wreck sequence had on him as a child. But I thought that was so cool that happened to coincide. And it's not like Spielberg planned it, because I think he was putting it off for a long time, because it is quite an emotional I mean, his family went through a divorce. That's very traumatizing. And then obviously there's just the ups and downs of life, like there's grief, his parents have passed away. So now you're revisiting times but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a very, very good film. And this film, The Fabelmans, has beaten Avatar, The Way of Water, and Top Gun Maverick, as well as Elvis, at most of the awards. So Golden Globes, it was in the category of best motion picture. There was Elvis, there was Top Gun Maverick, there was Avatar, there was the Fabelmans, and there was something else. I can't remember what it was. The Fabelmans won, plus Spielberg won Best Director as well, and also the AFI movie. It won AFI Movie of the Year, which also was running against Avatar, Top Gun Maverick, all of that. And Gabriel, who played Spielberg in the film, won the Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Young Performer. So from a award perspective, it's winning. It's literally taking awards because now we're actually currently sitting in award season. We started with the Golden Globes and it ends with the Academy Awards, which is the Oscars, which happens later on in the year. Not too late, like when is it? March, somewhere there. But at the moment, the Fabelmans is taking. I mean, Top Gun Maverick and Avatar were like insanely good, but
you have to admit though, I know I'm watching a Spielberg film because of how comfortable I feel while watching the film. I mean, if you think about the film itself, the story,
it's not a comfortable story at all.
But there's nothing really to like glue or interest you. But
you were glued.
The way that what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next. Okay, now this is what's going to. I was glued, and it was like the cuts. The way that it's
were
edited,
beautiful.
the shots.
That shot where, as a little boy, he was watching I don't know if you remember that, he was watching it project, but he was using his hands as the screen.
Yeah.
That shot was insane. And that apparently wasn't a scripted shot. That just happened while they were shooting. And I think Spielberg, and you can see, he's always looking for the best angle. Yeah. Which he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I still think that every director should do this. Should be like it's a must do in your career. You have to make a film. You don't have to call. I like the fact that he didn't say the Spielbergs. He didn't like. I like the fact that when I started the film, I didn't know this was a film about Steven Spielberg.
It keeps it a story. That's
and that's what he wanted. He wanted
keeps it a humble story about a family. So
and he also wanted it to be a story that people can connect to. Whereas if you know, this is Steven Spielberg's biopic, you're not necessarily going to connect to it unless you're maybe as an aspiring film director. Then maybe you'll be like, oh, okay, you know what, he wanted to give up. It's fine, I'm on the right track. But like for the average person out there, you'll be like, But the thing is, it's actually a story about a family. That's all it is. It's a story about a very real family, and he wanted people to be able to connect with it, and that's why he didn't go with the true actual names.
Yeah.
No,
it works out well.
Yeah, it was a very good film.
Very
good
film.
So
must go see it.
It is a must-see film. Definitely a must-see film. And I wonder, because before this, Steven Spielberg did West Side Story.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
right.
went from West Side Story to this. He's got such good range. Like Steven Spielberg, he doesn't have a style. He has he's for the story. Like he's all for telling a good story. Yeah.
Well, wasn't Ready Player One sort of like a for me, I saw that one definitely out of a genre. I haven't seen a film like that before.
There hasn't been a film like
Usually,
that.
I mean, okay, fine, Jurassic Park, but that's dinosaurs, animals, terror, horror.
It's all on the other
Ready
side.
Player One is like computers and all of that stuff. So
Ready Player One really is in a place of its own.
Yeah.
Plus this film.
I mean, Ready Player One, West Side Story, like musical. Fabelmans. Yeah. It's good.
It's very good.
Yeah. So what we've established is what makes a good actor is when you don't know that the actor is
the actor.
Yes. And what makes a good director is when you can't tell who directed the film.
But you really enjoyed it.
Exactly. So
stood out.
So Peter Jackson, you next, right? Huh? We'd like to see your There you go.
You actually can go watch Peter Jackson's early films on YouTube. They are very funny to watch.
That's
because
right.
Yeah.
They're very good.
They look like home videos. Yeah. And they make no sense. But that's where everyone starts, So, yeah. But this has been The Movie Show.
On your favorite ORSPS.
Peace.
Cheers.